So I honestly don't know. It could be any of those. It could be that either extreme or within that range. So we're kind of. I titled the stream tonight just whatever because I actually honestly forget what I titled it. What did I do? Games and stuff. That's vague enough. Because I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to last. And then if we finish this early, and it's still early in the night, you know, if it's one of those the night's still young type situations, we can, I don't know, figure out what we want to do after it. Because I'm down for anything. Viewer's choice. Viewers and my choice. Collective. I noticed this last time we were playing this. Whenever you unmute it, it always starts the music at the beginning. Not like it's a bad thing. Just saying. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Oh, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna do, this is the second stream of this. And my guess is at the very least this would be the last one. It'll probably just end up being limited to 2. Even if there are multiple paths, I assume we can get to the paths pretty quickly. Get to see what's new and go from there. Again, whether it takes 15 minutes or 2 hours, I'm willing to see through to the end of this. And then we do whatever the hell we want after. I assume this is where we're at. Oh, I assume that's the safe spot. Gotta get back into my reading mode. Okay, we'll remember. Let's see, how far back can we go? And then it goes right into this. What was going on? Let's try to figure out. A lot of craziness happened. Okay, so how do I summarize what has happened? God, it's hard because it was a lot of reading. A lot of reading happened, as you do with a visual novel. That's not even the beginning. We're with Trixie. We got Trixie here. A rat, I guess. Found a book, a play, in the place where we played Parsnip, the messed up, fucked up town of Parsnip from the first game last week. Found a play. The person who was looking for the play read the play, then went crazy. Then the rat, main character, did a bunch of other weird stuff with other people that may or may not have any actual meaning to the rest of the game. There were some fucked up things that happened. It's a terrible explanation. But let's just continue. I'm hoping this isn't like 2 more hours. I'm hoping this is maybe at most like 1 more hour. It's been interesting though. I rushed straight to the library. There was no time to lose. It always shut early on a weekend. I quickly went through the shelves I thought might be relevant. Myths, local history, literature. I wanted to find the book Nikita had mentioned, Reaching Other Worlds. I never heard of it before, but it sounded like it would be of use to me. Reaching another world was Nikita's aim, after all. Nikita is the weird one. She read the play, got fucked up. Remember, this game has the whole mechanic of an unreliable narrator. Or something like that, to that effect. So, who knows if everything I'm being told is 100% true. I think this is going to shake out weirdly to the end. I think there's going to be some big reveal in the end where it's like, oh. And apparently my actions affect maybe potentially what the unreliable narrator, how much of a spin on stuff is. I'm making a lot of hand gestures because I'm slightly confused. I found the shelf it should have been on, and there was nothing. Nikita must have come here first and taken it so that I couldn't find out. how to stop her. Great, creepy music, let's go. I panicked. If she was actively trying to stop me, there was nothing I could do. Nikita was smarter than me and driven like one possessed by her obsession with that cursed play. My eyes remained locked on the spot the book should have been, and I felt my body grow numb. Was I too late? I could see her even now in my thoughts, the book ablaze as Nikita continued with her evil plotting. The gnarled hand of the king guiding her to the decaying imperial palace of Carcosa and the broken throne. I realized I was crying, and then I realized I was looking directly at the book. It was 3 places over from where it should have been. It must have been misplaced by an uncaring student or busy librarian. Blame the librarian. Trembling, I reached for the book and softly caressed its spine. It was real. I took it from the shelf and wiped the tears from my face, ashamed. Glancing at the great clock at the entrance, I realized I had been stood in the same spot for close to an hour. Something was horribly wrong with me. I dropped my collection down on a secluded desk. Half of the stuff didn't seem all that relevant, but it was better to be thorough. I thought I better skim the books and work out, which I had time for, before I actually started reading. I wouldn't have time for all of them. I checked the clock. There was about 5 hours left until the librarians would kick me out. What the fuck? Oh my god, there's so much. Took a look at... Well, I mean, this one seems to be natural to pick, because it's about the king in yellow. But is it a trap? Let's go here. Bluefields County myths seem to be a brief rundown of some local folklore. It was pretty short, so it would probably only take about an hour to read. Yes. Is it going to be an hour of me reading this then? Bluefields County History Society presents Bluefields County Myths. North Acres in the Dark Age. Like much of the country, Ovington suffered terribly from the famines brought on by the Dark Age. Their troubles were short-lived, however, after the arrival of a strange guest. Not much is known about this mysterious visitor. The locals supposedly used their help to contact a strange and ancient entity of the woods, the antlered tree. After this, their woes were no more, and they waited for the end of the Dark Age in comparative comfort, a rare occurrence in those terrible times. Did the antlered tree bless the villagers of Ovington with a successful harvest? Unlikely, given the village imported all of its food. Did it simply gift them with food? Maybe. Was this entity simply a story to cover up Ovington's true evil, preying on travelers and raiding nearby towns? Probably, according to most scholars. But even so, the area remains shrouded in secrets. Perhaps there is more to it than meets the eye. The tale of the man and the witches. A local man wished more than anything to be beautiful and strong so that he could woo local damsels. He sought out the Salt Sisters of Portsmouth. The witches only laughed and cast a cruel spell on him. The witches unsummoned evil void wraiths to chase the man away into the wilderness, where he succumbed to the witches' terrible hacks. Some say this man would go on to space, become the terrifying Mick Sproingy. But this is what's the fucking... I've never watched Star Wars. McClunky, Miss Sproinky, whatever. But this is obviously untrue, as Mr. Sproingy is way too fucked up to be in a silly kid story. The Screaming Sewers of Bluefields Town. Bluefields Town was briefly re-established as the administrative center of the country under the Brandenburg dynasty for several years, while London was rebuilt after the Inheritance War. Several buildings from this period remain, sporting classic Brandenburg architecture, town hall, gallery, and flower gardens being particularly distinctive examples. Of course, not all of the Empire's influence on the town was positive. Many rebellious locals were dragged to the city dungeons during his brief reign here. Screams and wails were said to emanate from the town's sewer system as his terrible torturers pried the poor prisoners for information, or sometimes merely for fun. Shrouded in mystery, the dungeons were eventually unearthed in 1956, but were soon sealed with concrete. The council did not give a reason why, but we can assume they were a structural weakness beneath the town. Though some say on cold winter nights screams still emanate from underground on lonely streets. ! The King in Yellow. The infamous Wilhelm is said to have first penned The King in Yellow in a manor just outside Bluefield Sound. The manor burnt down in the late 1800s, so any evidence of this has long since been destroyed. The play's ties to the county do not end there. Copies of the play are found more frequently here than anywhere else across the world, with a notable incident being its discovery in Bluebell University's library. The dean, a superstitious fellow, ordered it burnt unopened when a student brought it to him. Said student was also expelled in mysterious circumstances. The dean was fired soon after, apparently for the unfair expulsion. The student disappeared before they could be re-inducted into their course. It was an interesting read, but not a particularly helpful one. No way would the dean expel Nikita. She was the only thing keeping us in the league tables. Besides, at this point, I didn't think Nikita would care. I checked the clock. There was about 4 hours left until librarians would kick me out. I mean, give me this. A cursed play. A study of the King in Yellow seemed to be a thesis of some kind, but it definitely looked relevant. Kind of suck at reading academic texts, so I knew it would probably take 3 hours for me to read, even though it was short. Yes. Do it. Do it. A Cursed Play, Study of the King in Yellow. Thesis by Daisy Tell. Bluebell University, 1997. In this thesis, I will argue that the mythos surrounding the King in Yellow has intentionally evolved the play to a purely capitalist creation. I don't think this is going to be relevant. The original play, supposedly written by the disgraced Inquisitor Wilhelm in the late 1700s, details the decline of an ancient star empire ruled from the ivory throne of Carcosa, the hands of the titular King in Yellow, Wilhelm, 1792. Of course, it is difficult, not impossible to know any detail about the play for sure. Our only source on the original text comes from Wilhelm himself in his infamous notes. It is well known that he was quite mad. But at the time these were written, readers of the play often talk of the yellow sign, a sigil spoken about in fear throughout these sources, though most notably in the accounts of Polo Palacio. This sign is supposedly used as some kind of mark, branding those who know the play or drawing new readers to it. Commonly, this is depicted as a simple eye design. Oh, we know of this design. A long pupil extended outside the borders of the eye itself. Some depictions are more abstract, although these seem to be in relation to a specific 1876 printing of the play, which is widely regarded as a fake. Of course, no real evidence exists for these strange properties. It is likely in addition to the play's mythos intended to further build its reputation and desirability. Henry Goldsmith argues that the play exists purely as an elaborate money-making scheme, with each terrible new rumor adding to its value. This seems like a likely conclusion. The thesis continued in this vein for some time. I wasn't sure I agreed with its conclusion, didn't really learn much of use. Checked the clock, there was about 1 hour left. Fuck. Reaching Other Worlds seemed to be based on the Dark Age grimoire, written by a bird scholar at the tail end of the age. Nikita seemed set on reaching Carcosa. Thought this might help me understand if that was possible or how she planned on achieving it. It was short and would only take an hour to read. Alright, let's put our faith in it. Reaching Other Worlds. Endless worlds weave and twist through reality, unreality, and the forbidden places between. Only at the points where these strings draw close can one pass through to the other side. Powerful psychic beacon is required to pull the two worlds taut and intertwine them for long enough for a crossing. Bleak Wind Spire is said to be the brightest of these beacons, at least on our world, but its current rune state is useless. Carrying crows of the Blackwood of Brennenburg use their own natural psychic influence to shield themselves from the horrors of the Brennenburg succession wars. For the Planewalkers of Aberneth, in the ancient times, powerful psychic crystals were most commonly used in pairs. Singularly, they could bind the worlds, but when paired, would nullify each other, preventing others from traveling to or from the area. It is said that this is how the Court of Despair remained hidden forever in their cathedral of teeth. I gasped. A librarian shushed me. I knew Nikita wanted to reach Carcosa, but now I realized quite how close she might be. All these materials were easy to acquire, except for the psychic crystals. But I now knew where Tabby's missing crystal was. Nikita had taken it. I always assumed they were phony glass toys, but now a second crystal would create dissonance with the first. If I could just get a hold of one, I could prevent Nikita's ritual from working. I began hurriedly messaging Tabby. Hey, Tabby, you there? Hi, Trix. You got a spare psyker crystal? I have bad energies and it might help me. You don't need to end everything with a question mark. Yeah, though, you can borrow one. My energies are balanced right now and the moon's eye is staying closed for a while, so I don't need to stop it watching me. I can slide under your door if you want. Going out for a few days to stargaze on the Isle of Wight. Talk to some sheep friends. Sheep friends. Yes, please. Sorry, Tabby, I better get back to work. Thank you so much. Talk to you when you're back. Question mark. Put my phone away without checking for a response. I was getting a Amber Alert thing. Put my phone away without checking for a response. There was no time right now, but at least I was making some progress. Things didn't seem as hopeless. I realized I'd run out of time, quickly put the books away and left. I ended up back in my room, just needed to sleep. This week was killing me. When was the last time I had slept properly? I walked through my door and almost tripped over something. There was a little velvet bag on the floor. Someone had slid it under my door. Oh great, has Nikita been sneaking anthrax in my room or something? I nervously picked up the bag and was relieved to feel a hard crystal inside. This must have been Tabby's psyker crystal. Oh, thank you, Tabby, you're a lifesaver. Possibly literally. I carefully put the crystal into my bag. It might be the only thing that could help me. I was going to have some noodles to eat, but I couldn't get the packet open without scissors thanks to my weak little arms. I had no idea where my scissors had gone. Probably put them in my bag and lost them while I was walking about or something. In the end, I had to just eat crisps. This week was really taking its toll on my diet. I needed time to digest what I had read. I was too tired to do anything practical to deal with Nikita tonight. No doubt she was slinking around the university or holed up in her room plotting. That night there were no dreams. There was only darkness. Woke up as tired as ever and wanted to check the internet for news, convinced I'd find a photograph of a disheveled Nikita being bundled into a police van after committing some atrocity in the name of the broken throne. Fortunately, it looked like Nikita hadn't been arrested for any terrible crimes. Unfortunately, this meant she was still my problem alone. Yesterday, Nikita had, well, not admitted to being at Daffodil Lane, but it was fairly obvious she had been. I was pretty sure she wanted to open a portal to the White Gate of Halley in that cursed basement. I needed to know if she had done anything there. Maybe I could find a way to stop her. I ate some sugar flakes, got ready for another long walk to Daffodil Lane. Arrived at Daffodil Lane, only to be greeted by a loud caw. That mangy magpie again. The caw sounded like it came from near the creepy cottage, as if it was calling for me. I tried to spot the magpie, but they were nowhere to be seen. Oh, fuck me. Hi, Trixie! Fuck. I span around and screamed. Directly behind me, less than a half meter away, stood Parsnip. Oh no, please no bad words. This is a no bully zone. Sorry, Parsnip, you just scared me is all. I didn't expect you to be stood directly behind me like that. Haha, no one ever does. I'm very quiet. Couldn't help but feel slightly creeped out by that. I turned around to look for the magpie, but sure I could feel their beady white eyes locked on me. They were nowhere to be seen. No, not the horns. Reluctantly, I turned back to Parsnip. He was grinning excitedly, and I noticed he had a picnic basket with him. What's the I'm having a picnic. Would you like to come, friend? I was kind of hungry, but I felt like I should probably get on with stopping Nikita. Sorry, busy. Go away. Sorry, Parsnip, but I'm kind of busy. I have a big girl work to do. But busy? Too busy for a picnic with me, Parsnip Bunner? That's so sad. Are you sure? Are you sure you... Yep. See ya, Parsnip. I ran away. Phew. Stood in front of the abandoned cottage. Gateway to Carcosa. I needed to make sure Nikita hadn't done anything here. This cottage might be the only place I could stop her. The upstairs seemed pretty much as I'd left it. I knew I was going to have to go downstairs. Not a fun thought. Memories of my last visit still swam in my mind fuzz. It was time to accept my fate and return to the basement where this all started. The skull sat in the same position as before. I almost started to believe I really had imagined them speaking to me. But before I could step any further into the room, they snapped around to face me, and my heart sunk as I realized returning here was a mistake. Another guest, the little rat returns. Hello, friend. I was frozen, whether by shock or by the ghost design, I don't know. Please, I'm not here to... Your friend, yes. The deer was here, searching for a gate she found. Already present, the yellow sign, creator I am. Forever, never to be removed, no matter how much I tear at its paint. The gate is present, it needs only a key. No more preparations are needed, only the moonlight of a full moon, if what the deer says is true. A believable claim, for I too require tonight's white light, reunite, broken body no more. If the deer speaks true, then endless ashen terrors crawling forth from the lake. The rapt pointed fingers of the king leading them. The decay will spread, the rot. Then I was too late to prevent Nikita performing a ritual. It'd be up to me in person. A battle I would probably lose. Spent a lot of time studying the moon. It was pretty important to a lot of myths, especially around here. I knew very well that the next full moon was tomorrow. Okay, well, that's all I need to know, so I'll just be out of your scalp bone. I started to run from the basement, but leave not, little white rat. I stopped in my tracks, and not by choice. Golden glow clung to my body, holding me totally still. Moonbeam, Heidi, Trixie, Glimmer, Smith, all one. You will return what you stole. My blood froze. This ghost knew about me and Heidi? Knew about Moonbeam? I'd robbed it? I remember that night in the alley, the golden eyes of the matted figure. I remember the glint of recognition when the figure had laid eyes on my face. You? The grimoire. The shop. Return there. Finish our deal. The hyena will perish. Or the hyena will perish. Skulls shattered into dust. Any evidence of their existence turned to a fine bone powder that joined the spores and dust in their toxic dance. I was thrown to the ground as the gold mist floated out of the basement like snow in a breeze. I climbed to my feet, my head ringing. I must have hit it when I fell. I made my way outside and caught my breath. There was no time for anything else. Right now I had to help Heidi. I tried to phone her, but there was no answer. It looked like I was going to have to run all the way to town. The windows of Heidi's shops were blinded and a sign read closed. Someone didn't want intruders. My heart dropped. Was I too late? Summoning all my courage, I burst inside. Oh shit! I was too late. Heidi had been pinned to the spot and her weapons were discarded on the floor. The shop gently shook with the same force that had infested the abandoned cottage on Daffodil Lane. It looked like the boxes from the office had been pulled into the shop. Items were thrown from them as if the ghost was searching for something. On the floor lay the lifeless, matted figure, their bodies still hidden beneath their thick cloak. Trixie, get out of here! The white one arrives, the pale rat. Thank you, friend. Placate your associate. Aid me, and all shall be fine. I was terrified. This had gotten out of hand. Heidi, calm down. They need our help. Then they'll leave us alone. They promised. I wasn't sure if I believed them, but it was my only way out. Please, put her down. She'll behave. Right, Heidi? I gulped. She looked pissed. Fine. Very well. Behave, little hyena. Heidi dropped to the floor as the golden glow pulled away from her. Her bat and taser lifted into the air as if yanked up on strings. Heidi's weapons were thrown into the air. The bat splintered, scattering shards of wood across the shop as the taser seemingly imploded and fell to the floor with a dull thud. The deal, rat, the book, stolen by you. The book, the spell, the body, reunite. The voice boomed into my head. I don't know what you mean. The book I sent you out with the other night. The one you didn't give them. Some old spell book, supposedly written by the Salt Sisters. It's in one of the boxes. Okay, Heidi, you just stay there and I'll find it. I rummaged through one of the boxes. There were a lot of books, but none seemed to be by the Salt Sisters. I could feel the invisible eyes of the ghostly entity burn into me like hot coals as I fumbled through the junk. Hurry, do not waste time, rat. Look, I'm trying, okay? Heidi, you didn't really organize this stuff well. That's because I was going to burn it. Sorry, it's just... might have helped right now is all. Not really a time for you to be bitching about my organization, Missy. Do not bicker, the mask. Find it, small rat. Small white rat. I don't even know what it looks like. It's black and old. Fortunately, there was only one book in amongst the scattered artifacts that fit the description. Oh, okay, here it is. My fingers trembled as I picked up the book. The Grimoire of the Salt Sisters. It looked old enough to be the original and radiated malevolence from its crumbling pages. Yes, the book, the forbidden words, the sisters, the body, reunite. I don't know what it is you want. This book is so long, and Before I could finish, the golden mist of the ghost plucked the book from my hands and flickered through the pages impossibly fast. The pages stopped turning. The voice boomed louder than before. The spell, cast the body, do it now, do it now! The shop seemed to shake with each word. A Cyberdrac Coolia plushie burst into a shower of woolen lead. The sound of cans imploding boomed from inside the vending machine. Speak it now, speak it now, speak it now, speak it. The voice repeated into my head, drumming the orders into me as my mind began to cloud once more. The page seemed to list the words to some terrible spell. I dare not write them here. I read them aloud, trying as hard as I could not to understand what I said. With each word, my mind ached. Stories always talk about the price for performing magic, and I could see now it was no lie. I can only hope my actions that day do not cost me my soul, if indeed I still have one. As the last words of the spell left my lips, the shop began to violently shake. Trixie, get back! Heidi pulled me to her, and we ducked behind the shop counter. I could see in her eyes that after hearing that dark spell from me, Heidi felt afraid of me, even as she hid it. The room pulsed with golden light. I shut my eyes, but that was not enough to keep the gold from seeping in. Whispers filled my mind. The regal search of Carcosa, descriptions of a forgotten era, and inklings of forbidden knowledge. Threads against a nameless enemy. Fear. The matted figure's tormented mind. Then, as suddenly as the process had begun, it was over. The room was silent. The golden light was absent. Is it over? Oh, look, stay still. I was glad Heidi had volunteered. I dreaded to think what we might see. Heidi didn't say anything. Whether it was good or bad, I wasn't sure, but I decided to look. In the center of the room, standing with their own muscles and smiling at us with a wicked grin, stood the matted figure. Ah, my friends, you have been most useful. The bargain is complete. The figure began to leave the shop, walking clumsily on their weak legs. And you aren't coming back? The figure paused, their back to us. They looked over their shoulders straight into Heidi's eyes. You have my word. Before either of us could respond, the figure stumbled out of the shop. Heidi sighed and patted me on the shoulder. You okay, Trixie? I wasn't. I knew what walked underneath that cloak. Even imagining it was enough to make me shiver. To look upon the warped face of a sheep was an awful thought. How could such a creature have come to exist? And yet I knew that it was as natural as I. Which begged the question, why were no other sheep like it? I shook the thoughts from my head. I just wanted this to be over. Yeah, I'm fine. Heidi looked at the mess of books, amulets, and other tat thrown across the room with a sigh. That was a week of organizing down the drain. So, I guess I need to clean this up. It's all kind of lost its charm now that I know some of it actually is evil incarnate. You okay to help me? We could burn it. Check the time. It would be a little bit longer till the moon was out. I can help for a bit, sure. I don't really fancy going outside yet anyway. I'd rather give that person more time to get as far away as possible. For sure. Come on. Let's get the stuff packed up and flammable. We started rooting through the mess. It's a lot easier to sort through now that it was all just went straight into the burning box. Sorry for, ruining everything for you, Heidi. I fucked up pretty badly. Hey now, it's not your fault. Shouldn't have gotten you involved in this weird stuff. Heck, I shouldn't have gotten myself involved in this weird stuff. I think it's time to go straight-laced and start running the shop properly. Really? Heidi thought for a moment. Nah. I'll probably just sell it and get a job as a bouncer. A really violent bouncer. Wasn't sure if she was joking or not. How do you fancy free entry to whatever club I work at? I think I'll pass on that. Thanks, though. What about your Moonbeam stuff? Will you keep that for your Dungeons and Fungeons games? She picked the mask of Delilah Moonbeam off the floor. Oh heck, I can't burn this. It's kind of special to me. She She started packing it away into the keep box. I was sad to see it go after all the work Heidi put into making it, but it was probably for the best. Its jeweled eye winked at me one last time before it was hidden away, maybe forever. We fixed up the shop for a while. It was a real mess. At some point I realized everything that had happened had made me completely forget Nikita. Glanced out the window. The full moon hung low in the sky. I knew Nikita would be heading to Daffodil Lane soon. Maybe she was already there. Felt bad leaving Heidi, and if it wasn't for the pit in my stomach I got when I imagined Nikita potentially not releasing the horrors of Carcosa into our world, I would have gladly stayed. Hey, Heidi, I have to go do something. Will you be okay here by yourself? Huh? You need to do something? Excuse me. At like midnight? After what we just saw? What's that important? Is everything okay, Trixie? Yes, it's fine. It's just something important. I need to help out my friend. She's in trouble is all. Yeah, I mean, you helped me, right? Maybe I can help you help them. I wanted to say yes. With Heidi there, maybe I could stop Nikita. And yet I couldn't let myself be weak and bring her along. I couldn't be a coward and drag Heidi into something worse than what she had already experienced because of me. No, this was something I had to do alone. No, Heidi. It's okay. It's nothing serious. It's just a private thing, you know? Uni stuff. Yeah? Nothing I can do? Well, a lift to Daffodil Lane might be nice. Take me. The lane was quiet. Looked like Nikita hadn't opened the gate. Yet, at least. Here good? Totally. Thank you, Heidi. And thank you for, being my friend and stuff. Despite everything that happened, I really liked hanging out with you. Yeah, it's been fun. But hey, it's not like you're going anywhere. I'll see you tomorrow, right? I wasn't sure. I'm sure. You should get to bed or whatever you do at night. I'll be okay here. I just gotta go help my friend. Yeah? I'll see you tomorrow then, bud. You have a good night, okay, Trixie? See ya, Heidi. I waved her off as her motorcycle sped back towards town. I hope this wouldn't be the last time I saw her. Walked down Daffodil Lane towards the abandoned cottage. It must have been about 1 or 2 in the morning. I feared I was too late. There hadn't been any sign that Nikita had been successful. The abandoned cottage seemed unchanged. Could it be that Nikita hadn't come? My hopes were shattered when I stepped inside. I could hear murmuring from the basement. Nikita was here. Surrounded by candles, she stood upon the yellow sign. She faced away from me, chanting to herself. I think she was trying to repeat some kind of incantation, but she kept tripping up on her words and losing her place. A small crystal sat in the center of the yellow sign, shimmering faintly in the candlelight. I had to talk her out of this madness. I knew it was too weak to fight her after the night's events so far, and I'm pretty sure Nikita is more violent than she looks. Nikita. Oh, Trixie. I'm surprised you dare show your furry little face here. I assumed you'd be in the room drawing bat hentai or something. I have to say, I'm impressed. I almost admire your dedication to annoying me. But you're too late. The ritual is in progress. I walk across the cloud waves to my destiny. Right now you're just kind of stood there. Okay, but soon I shall walk across the cloud waves to my destiny. It's not like you're going to stop me. By all means, stay and watch my ascension or fuck off. I don't care. I just need to wait a little longer is all. Was Nikita wrong? She seemed confused somehow. Her ritual didn't seem to be going to plan. The candles had almost melted to their bases. How long had she been there? Nikita, stop. The ritual isn't working. You won't get through your gate. How about you come back to uni with me and we can talk this out? No! I will not forfeit my birthright because of your little lies. I will succeed. It's just taking a little longer than it should. I need to prove to the king. I need to show him my faith has not faltered. The one who sits on the broken throne cannot be weak. They cannot be unsure. Maybe I made a mistake. The candle placement must be wrong, or maybe my pronunciation is off. She started flickering through her notepad, desperation building on her face. I was starting to doubt Nikita. I'd expected her to summon up a portal of shimmering cloud and step through to her destiny. Instead, she just seemed utterly broken, deranged. Maybe you're wrong. About the ritual, about the throne, about that play. Trixie, shut up! I know what's wrong. The one external variable, it's you. This is a test. I must prove myself. My loyalty. Well, I will not break. I swear to you, my king, from upon the broken throne I shall call forth the dread fleet, the ashen horrors of the Twilight Quarter and the Iron Watchmen. I shall set them on Trixie and crush her. And now, my king, will you bring me the White Gate? She was serious. The malviolence in her voice was enough to kill any doubt I had that these were the words of a mad woman. Nikita had to be stopped. This ritual could not be completed. The artifact I did possess was powerful to be sure, but against Nikita. I had the crystal with me, sure, but Nikita was smarter than me. She would have prepared for it. She probably did something to cancel it out. Heck, I was so exhausted by this point after last night, she could probably just steal mine and destroy it. It was hopeless. Regretfully, I had to turn to my backup plan. I haven't spoken about what happened so far. Truth be told, I've been trying to forget it. I almost did, until now. Still, I hope you'll understand that it was necessary, and I included it in the interest of full disclosure. Thanks for reading this far, by the way. I know it's dragged on a bit. Nikita, I'm really sorry, but I'm not letting you do this. For once in my useless little life, I'm standing up for myself. What? I charged Nikita with a fury I never felt before. I was going to let Nikita sit atop the broken throne. I was going to let the terrible denizens of the decaying city under the dead moon leak into my world and destroy me. Destroy my new friends. Nikita's face was an equal mix of terrified and bemused. I don't think she considered I might do anything other than passively roll over and die. Usually she would be right, but as strange as it might seem, the events earlier that night had made me realize how much I actually quite liked living. I slammed into Nikita and immediately crumpled to the floor with a yell. The second I hit her, I had felt a sharp pain in my side. From my waist jutted a pair of novelty scissors, their wacky, wavy blades shimmering in the candlelight. They were mine. I gasped in pain and confusion. When did Nikita get a hold of my scissors? Did she break in while I was away? Enough games, Trixie. Now stay there. I'll be coming back for you soon. I just need to get this gate open. Nikita turned back to the yellow sign and began flicking maniacally through her notes. I was close to passing out, her silhouette blurred in my tired eyes, but I wasn't going to let Nikita win. With a pathetic little whimper, I managed to pull the blade from my side. Nikita was so transfixed on her work, she didn't even realize until I shakily climbed to my feet. Goodness, Trixie, where was this kind of a determination the rest of your silly little life? I'm sorry, Nikita. What? Turned away and fled, sprinting up the stairs in agony. Nikita's voice rang out from behind me. Fine, Trixie, run! Be a coward! There will be no escape from my power. I will crush you! There was no time to listen to her threats. I didn't have long left to stop her. I stumbled to Acorn Cottage. The gas canisters in the evidence box had been left untouched since my first visit. It was a foolish and horrific plan, but I'd run out of options. I couldn't fight Nikita. I knew I'd lose. I grabbed a canister and prayed that it was full. It was heavy and made the run back to the abandoned cottage painful. My body ached from the stab wound, but a cocktail of adrenaline and fear let me power through. I managed to get myself back down the stairs, almost collapsing from the weight of the canister. Tossed it across the room to Nikita. It hit the floor with a clang, followed by hissing as gas leaked from the canister, invisibly floating towards the candles Nikita had set up. Nikita jumped at the sound and turned to me. For the first time that night, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. My heart wrenched, knowing what I was doing, and I tried to apologize, but found myself winded from exertion. The two of us trembled for a second, but I saw Nikita's eyes glance down to my hands and widen. In my hands, I held the king in yellow. I felt my face grow pale at the sight of that hellish tome, and Nikita spoke out. "It's not real. None of it. Trixie." It was too late. I turned and fled up the stairs. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard the gas ignite, and the floor beneath me ruptured upwards. Fire bloomed out of the ground like a flower. I was thrown into the air and out of the cottage. For a second, I could swear I saw once more the curling clouds of Lake Kali and the rotten spire of the imperial place of Carcosa. The moon, larger than ever before, hung in the red sky like a white stain. The clouds swirled, and the orange flash of fire returned to my vision. I found myself facing the blazing remnants of the cottage. I knew what I had to do. I pulled myself to my feet and weighed the terrible tome in my hands, once more looking upon its awful scaled cover. With a moment's hesitation, I flung it into the inferno. I was finally rid of it. Its snakeskin covered bubbled and melted, but it was some time before the rotting pages caught alight. I watched the book burn, hoping in vain that my memories of it would turn to ash along with it. When I heard distant sirens, I fled into the fields. I eventually stumbled back to my room and fell into my bed. Fortunately, my wound was more painful than it was deadly, and I seemed to have survived. The reality of what I did that night was only just starting to set in, and I'm beginning to realize that I may be in trouble. I may be sick, but those are thoughts for another time. I've tried to write this as fast as possible so that I can give you a good account. My memory isn't fantastic. I've ignored about 500 phone calls from Heidi over the last 2 days while writing this. Rude, I know, but this is important. Anyway, I hope this document explains sufficiently why I have been justifiably busy and need a week or two more to complete my coursework. In retrospect, I probably should have kept it shorter, since I seem to have run out of room on the form and, well, I guess without realizing it, wrote most of my statement on the walls. Sorry. I intend to begin my coursework as soon as I receive confirmation that you're giving me an extension, which I hope you agreed with me is only fair. For now, though, I need to talk to Heidi. I know she must be worried about me. I need to talk to her about our experience with the matted figure. I have so many questions about that night, about the matted figure, about sheep and our world's forgotten past. When I remember the knowing, plotting smirk that cruel figure gave us before it left the shop, my heart fills with a dread matched only when recalling that night with Nikita. And the King in Yellow? The end. And the King in Yellow. The end. The Testimony of Trixie Glimmer by Digital Poppy. It's ended! That's pretty good. I like that. I do. So I'm curious what happens if I click. Whoa, whoa. Oh, holy shit, did you see the... Okay, so we saw the ending, basically. No, not the horns. Oh, it's the string thing. Okay. What happens if I throw it away? I took the string out of politeness. Okay, so we got the ending of the game. I guess we'll see how long I do stick with this, but let's just see some of the other options and shit. Obviously, if I skip through a lot and you didn't watch part 1, then you have no idea what I'm skipping through. But it looks like it's set up to like not skip here if it's dialogue you haven't seen, basically. So here I chose just the other option. Before I kept the string because I was fearful of Parsnip here, but I'm gonna see what happens if you toss the string. Took the string out of politeness, but wanted nothing to do with the horrid thing. I gently tossed it into a nearby bush while Parsnip had his eyes closed. Oh, that's all. Parsnip. Man, it skips so fast. I'm gonna be very mean to him and say, no, I definitely don't. Sorry. I have to find that play for my friend, remember? And, super busy with coursework, so... Wow, that sounds really exciting. forgot what I've done before. Oh, I guess I could find out by going. Yeah, so if I pick the one where it then has skip as a choice, then it means that I've already picked it before. So this is... What's the issue with Parsnip? He isn't like that all the time, right? He moved in like a month ago, and there hasn't been a day since that I haven't considered torching his cottage. She downed half a wine bottle in about 5 seconds. I was impressed. He seems to know the exact best way to piss me off in any given situation. And I mean, he broke into my house a few weeks back while I was in the shower. All he did was steal some candles, but geez. He's a real weirdo. I don't believe in police though. So if he tries that shit again, I'll just get my old cricket bat out and launch him into the woods like a ball. She finished her wine and reached for another bottle. So yeah, I fucking hate Parsnip. The burglary definitely put a bit of a damper on my opinion of Parsnip. Still, I hope maybe LaRose was exaggerating. He didn't seem quite that bad when I'd spoken to him. Wow, that's weird. Anyway, sorry, the book. You haven't seen it. No, back. I decided I better get a move on. LaRose seemed like she had stuff to do, like lounging around in the sun all day pretending to smoke. Well, anyway, sorry to bother you. Thanks for your help. Good luck with... I glanced towards Parsnip's cottage. Discordant trumpet noises were still piping out of it. LaRose nodded. She seemed to know what I meant. She went straight back to staring off into the distance. I let her get on with it and headed over to the neighboring cottage. Go. I think this is... Oh, I figured I'd peek through the door. A shopkeeper hadn't responded when I called, so I was worried they had an accident or something. I leaned to the side a little, squinting to see the dark room. My eyesight is really bad, so I just saw a slightly dark-looking room. Predictable. The door swung open. Ah! Alina stepped through. She looked annoyed with my spying. Either her spots were dyed red or she was splattering blood. I assume this must have been Heidi. What are you peeping at, Missy? She seemed mad. This wasn't the fantastic customer service I'd expect from a shop. Not that I'm one to complain about poor customer service. I'm not a cop. Good. She's not a cop. Oh, well, sorry. I thought you were dead or something. You didn't say anything when I called. Uh-huh. I didn't hear you when you called. Fair enough. She seemed to have calmed down and leaned on the counter. Go. I think I picked this the first time. Okay, I'm breaking into a house, but it's abandoned. It's urban exploration. I'll be, in this case, very rural. Oh, sweet. I don't give a fuck about that. I just don't want to end up complicit in your breaking into someone's house and kicking them to death. I was relieved she was going to let me have a crowbar, but also slightly offended that I apparently looked like a very inefficient murderer. Ask for cake. No, back. Ask for a donut. I wanted a donut, but somehow got hurt in my own confusion and messed up. Oh, that's good. Cake? What is this that we're doing here? Oh, the game. Decide left it. The cartridge looked kind of sticky and nasty, and this cottage wasn't exactly clean. Decided to leave it there and avoid the potential tetanus. So the big difference is, at least story-wise, is going to be the branching thing where you get to pick the 3 people, I guess, to hang out with potentially, or one of the 3 people, I think. I was bound to get an earful from Nikita later today. No need to expose myself to more of her. Besides, it was a long time till the election. I was sure I'd hear about her candidacy more than enough over the next half a year. What is it? No, shut up, Nikita. There are real skulls in that place. I'm phoning the police. I just won't mention the weird stuff. This is serious. It's more important than some dumb story. Nikita's lip visibly curled when I described the King in Yellow as a dumb story. Fine, whatever, phone the police, but when you get arrested for breaking and entering, don't cry to me on the phone from your jail cell. I was pretty certain she was bluffing. I wouldn't get in trouble for that, right? Dialed the number for the police on my phone, and after a brief wait, an operator picked up. Hi, yes, I'd like to report a, suspicious house on Daffodil Lane. Creepy one, yeah. By the woods? Uh-huh. Right. I mean, there were skulls in it. Yeah? No, skulls. I saw some blood, too. Wait, seriously? Of course you have the budget to investigate it. You're like the police. Might be important. What about those missing squirrels that live literally 50 foot away? Uh-huh. Right. Ugh. So this is why no one likes the police. Oh. They'd hung up. I looked back to Nikita. Her expression was as sour as it had been when I started, but she seemed significantly smugger. Apparently they don't have the budget to reinvestigate the squirrels, and they wrote the abandoned cottage off because no one could live in a place with air that full of hallucinogenic spores. I paused for a moment, considering how that could explain the ghost. Which doesn't make me feel great about breathing it in for so long yesterday. There, told you it was pointless. Go. Maybe a triple chalk muffin would be nice? Coming right up. Greg scurried back behind the counter and placed the food into a little paper bag. Fortunately, I remembered to bring my wallet today. Go. Almost too weird, I thought. What is this? Okay, it doesn't get so weird. Almost ended up glassing each other a few weeks back when Heidi said neo-punk biker was better than neo-punk bohemian art. This is interesting. It stopped the skipping at like this line. This line must be different. It's weird how I met literally all of you by chance yesterday. Something weird's going on. So what is this one? Decided to use this chance and flick through the remnants of the book. Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Across the world, hundreds of tablets etched with identical spirals have been uncovered by archaeological digs. Thanks to bird mythology, these are popularly known as Star God tablets. Though there have been much speculation around these strange artifacts, the most obvious origin is clearly the Hummel sheep. Famously, every sheep has a near-identical spiral on the right front hoof, a strange evolutionary quirk. This exactly matches spirals seen in supposed Star God tablets. As the Star Gods are without a doubt entirely fictitious, the most obvious conclusion is that ancient societies would use sheep to produce this strange art. Most likely these etchings were painted when originally created, but any evidence of this has long since faded with time. Of course, some old bird legends would suggest that sheep created these themselves by pressing their feet into wet clay and allowing it to harden. This would make sense if not for sheep showing no signs of the creativity needed to create such art, let alone the intelligence to produce clay tablets. That said, anyone who has seen the footprints of a sheep can certainly agree that the process would be physically possible for them, if unlikely. This may merely be a misrepresentation of the claim. It is entirely possible sheep were specially trained to perform this task, or had their hooves used as tools after death. Other bird legends describe the supposed star gods themselves creating these texts, hence their relevance to the tablets, though such stories are the realm of fantasy. The largest discovery of these relics were found in the Ash Islands of Oceania, and would have fallen from the sky after being thrown into the air by the Great Dark Age cataclysm. This would make their original location the Siberian Wastes, the supposed home of the star gods. Nevertheless, this theory is ultimately Pages ended there. The book had been seen better days. Thought of the strange spirals on the feet of the sheep. How had that come to happen? It seemed too strange to be natural. I thought of the sheep in the field where I'd come across the King in Yellow, the clumps of dirty wool in the abandoned cottage. I shuddered. Sheep were weird, but harmless. Something far more sinister was at play, surely. It had been an interesting read. I threw it in the trash box. Let's skip again. Woo! Okay, so this is the option where we can pick either with Heidi or with one of the other two. So I think it would be smart to save there and then just see where these other two paths go for us. And then that might be the only differences. Sorry, Heidi. I've got some... Hey, no sweat, Trixie. You don't even have to explain yourself. Ain't exactly the most exciting job in the world. Ha 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 ha. Alright, I better start closing up. Thanks for your help. I'll see you, Trixie. I wished her a good evening and started to walk home to my bed. I could definitely use some sleep. Grab the book, message Tabby. Oh, back. Grab the book. I managed to fish the book off of the floor. Talking to ghosts. Ghosts are mysterious little critters. Let's try to talk to one. First, you need to go somewhere haunted. Of course, it has to be night. The lights have to be off, or the ghosts will be scared. I slammed the book shut. I think that was enough. I sighed. Most of the books about this stuff were awful, so I don't know what I was expecting. Time was better spent getting some sleep. Oh, not the horns. Don't bring back the horns. Okay, so basically here's now where the save seems to be good to save. So I mean, these are like two, just like how we did all of Heidi's things, and then we spent like a day with Heidi, and then we did like the main story, and then we went back to Heidi's place. Maybe it's somewhat similar with these two other things. I guess it really just depends on if I care reading them, you know? Like, we saw the ending. I guess I could do one of them, see if it's worth then going through the last third one. Let's go to Weird Greg's Bakery. I remember Greg's invitation. Belle was nice, but I didn't think I could handle driving around in this heat. Besides, I really wanted to learn to make cakes. Or more accurately, I wanted to eat them. With last night's encounter with Nikita all but forgotten, I made myself somewhat presentable and headed to town. Plus I get to do my weird Greg voice. Hi, Greg. I hope I'm not too late to make cakes with you. Oh, not at all. I was just about to start. I'm glad you decided to come. You better wash your hands so we can get baking. I ended up just trying and failing to follow Greg's baking instructions. Accidentally baking a whisk into one of the cakes was one of the least disastrous moments. Once the cupcakes came out of the oven, we got the chance to talk properly. Okay, Trixie, time to ice our cakes. Let's get creative. I looked at my vaguely cake-shaped blobs of carbon. Adding icing to these would be like sticking plasters on someone hit by a howitzer shell. I don't know how you do this every day. I'm tired already. Although, to be fair, tired is pretty much my default state of being. Relatable content, relatable content. It is pretty tiring, especially since I'm open pretty much every day. I might not need to work as hard soon, though. Maybe I can take a break and enjoy the sun. I need to get to the beach. Oh? Are you getting like a machine to make stuff for you, or what? Greg was suspiciously silent for a moment. I could see their eyes and thought. Kinda. I could tell they didn't want to talk about it, so I tried to change the subject. It's kinda nice getting outside in the sun. I used to have to stay inside a lot during the summer since I can't really handle the sun with my lack of melanin. Got some of that new UV protective sun shampoo for it though this year, so I've actually been able to get outside. Still a little worried I might end up sunburnt though. I miss the heat. Hopefully I can spend some time outside before this heat wave ends. You used to miss it? Oh, I moved here when I was pretty young. Me and my parents used to live in Oceania. Oceania? I still remember playing in the summers there. They were even hotter than it was here today. Oh, wow, I didn't realize. That's cool. That's cool. I wanted to visit Oceania for ages, but I don't think I could handle the heat there in the winter, let alone the summers. thousands of ash islands dotted with strange Siberian artifacts thrown across the planet by Dark Age cataclysms sounded right up my alley. What about sheep? Oh, it's that word where Brexit, sheepzit. I just hate saying sheepzit. Shepzit. Whatever. Is that going to be a problem for you? I don't really know how much about immigration. Oh, no, I'll be fine since I've lived here so long. I still think it sucks, though, and that poor sheep can't believe the Prime Minister wants to let her kid bite it back or she won't accept an exit deal. Hadn't heard about that yet, but it didn't surprise me in the slightest. The exit negotiations were growing increasingly surreal. With a ring, the shop door opened, and in strode a familiar face. What's up, sluts? Hey, Heidi. Are you just popping in for lunch? I too love entering buildings and saying what's up, sluts. Especially to my own empty apartment. To no one. You bet. Can't hang around long. I have some stuff to sort out at the shop. Shot me a slightly scary look. I think it was meant to be friendly, but it's kind of hard to tell with Heidi. Can I get 20 soy meat rolls and a whiskey? Haha, Heidi, I don't sell alcohol. How many times do I have to tell you? Greg said as she got a half-liter bottle of Dusty Dunes whiskey out from under the counter and poured it into a paper coffee cup. Heidi smiled and winked at me. I winked back and probably looked pretty silly. Awkward wink. Well, better get going. See you later, you two. Oh, Heidi, before you go. Do you sell any boxes? I need some. Boxes? Yeah, I have some boxes. You can have them for free, honestly. I have plenty spare. Hooray! Awesome. I'll come pick them up later. Is what that sentence says. Nice. See you then, dude. Heidi left and we got back to icing. What do you need boxes for, Greg? Before Greg could respond, the shop's phone started to ring. I'll get that. They picked it up, gave a chirpy hello. I like to eavesdrop at the best of times, but when Greg's face dropped, and they ran into the cupboard, I knew I wouldn't be able to resist. Yes. Like most of it? No, that's too much. No, I can't, I don't have enough. Right, I know. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll try harder. Goodbye. Greg reemerged, tears in eyes. From the cupboard, they looked deflated, hurt even. Sorry, Trixie, business stuff. Are you okay, Greg? Want to talk about it? I'm not usually one to ask that. Don't have the energy to deal with my own problems, let alone other people's. But seeing the usually chirpy Greg break down like this caught me off guard. Oh, it's nothing important, just the bakery hasn't been doing so well recently. I've been relying on selling in bulk to a couple of big businesses. A few hundred pastries a day for their canteens and stuff, right? Problem is, I haven't been able to keep up with the amount they need. Most of them have already dropped me. That was Crowbar Inc. on the phone. The CEO personally phoned to complain I wasn't making them enough pastries for their lunch. Got a week to turn it around, and if not, well, I have to close, I guess. I'll have to find a new job in telemarketing, maybe? Sorry, Trixie. I didn't mean to kill the mood, ha 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 ha. They were trying their best to backtrack and pretend everything was fine. Hey, no worries, Greg. I wish I could help, but... I looked at Greg's pristine cupcakes, then I gazed in fear upon my abominations. I don't think I'm cut out for baking. That's okay, Trixie. It's my problem to deal with, not yours. They seemed to think for a moment. Hey, Trixie? Are you into spooky magic stuff by any chance? For sure. Study it at uni. Kinda. Why? I thought so. You look like the type. Was that obvious? There's, I guess a kind of plan I have. Maybe you could help me with it. I wasn't sure I liked where this was going. This is probably going to sound really silly, but a few years back I got a hold of some book, Cryptids of the South, I think. Oh, sweet. I read that last term instead of doing my actual work. I was like, wow, I can write my report on spooky monsters. Then I reread the report brief and realized it was meant to be about some old dead language. I had to get my friend to bail me out. It's a fun book, right? Pretty silly, but when I started struggling to keep up with my orders, I remembered one of the entries, the antlered tree. Oh, yeah, they're like some old food god or something, right? I can see why you'd like that. But this antler tree is meant to bless people in need with endless amounts of food, right? Those weirdos up in North Acres, they worship the antler tree, don't they? Yeah, ever since the Dark Age, I think. Exactly, when the entire country was starving because of the ash storms. Alright, about 1.8 million people died over there. I was trying to make myself look smart by quoting the one statistic that had stayed with me from my college course's required reading. But yeah, I studied the Dark Age back in college. It was pretty bad. So you probably know North Acres was one of the only places in the country to have a death rate below like 5%, right? The others had a ton of farms and stuff, so it made sense. But Ovington, in North Acres, it was a mining village. Had to import most of its food from the nearby towns. And they didn't have any to export during the famines. They were right. It was a pretty well-known fact. People say a stranger arrived at Ovington when the villagers started to get ill. Ovington and some of the nearby villages started to worship the antler tree and survived the Dark Age with no trouble. So my point is, if the antler tree could help them, then maybe it can help me now. I know this probably sounds like I'm mad, but I really believe that if this creature is real, it could help me. It might be my only chance to save the bakery. Greg did sound a little mad, but I wasn't exactly one to judge on that front. If I had an endless supply of pastry, that's my problem solved, right? I know it's a selfish use of endless food, but... Anyway, sounds like you know all about this stuff, and I guess if you don't think I'm being too ridiculous, it'd be real cool if you wanted to. I guess help me contact this thing if it's real. I mean, I've already been making some plans to do this by myself, but if you're willing to help, it might be easier. I was taken aback. Greg wanted to contact some kind of mysterious woodland god. Wasn't that generally a bad idea? Greg, that's... Before I could reply, a group of wool suitors burst in. I guess from the Wool Fest going on in town today. They all bought grass cakes. I think they were getting into character. After they left, Greg spoke up again. So, what do you think, Trixie? Want to go along with my silly idea? Couldn't say no. Greg deserved to keep their bakery, and if this at best silly, and at worst horrifically dangerous scheme made them at least feel better about the situation, I'd go along with it. So it seems as though the three Pats, it was Heidi, Greg here, and then the one we haven't seen at all, Belle. It's basically like, who do you want to hang out with for a day? And then they'd probably all get into some kind of weird activity, is what it seems like. Heidi with her selling thing, him needing plentiful food. In retrospect, and I assume if it's like Heidi's story, something crazy happens, some fucked up shit. In retrospect, this was a poor decision. Sure, Greg, you can use my expertise. I gave them a smile and tapped my little brain. Greg ran over to me for a hug, but I guess my face went into the about to be hugged grimace I'd adopted ever since puberty hit me. Oh, sorry. Not really into hugs. Sorry, Greg. Maybe another time? Greg seemed to understand. Thank you, Trixie. So there's this book called The Notes of De Vonenberg. Apparently, she knew a lot about this kind of stuff. There's only like 2 copies, though. I do think I'm close to like making executive decision here on the ending of this game. I mean, we've seen now the ending of the game. We got through the ending of the game. And part of me, it wants me to just be like, well, I could sit here and we could go through Greg's story. We could go through Belle's thing. But also, if you're super curious, you too could get the game. It's only a few bucks on itch.io and see the other storylines. Part of me feels like that's slightly more fair for a visual novel type game such as this, maybe. But even so, like, I'm already like, I don't know if I care to see these other branched things. I was more curious about just the main story part of this, which I thought was actually somewhat interesting. I think I was slightly more interested in the first game, Parsnip. I think I liked a bit more, but they're also two different types of games. Like, this was just reading intense, heavy, and is slightly longer, whereas Parsnip was like, I didn't know what to expect, and I think that kind of ended up helping it. And then it was only like an hour long, and it was really fucked up. So like, but I still think this is an interesting universe that this person has made. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before when I streamed this. What was it, Wednesday? There is a third game to this. There's like some more extra little stories, but then there's like a third game, which I also think is a visual novel. And I'd be curious to check that out. I'll see if I want to do that on stream or not. But I think it would be at least interesting to potentially do it and just get the whole, what seems to be almost like trilogy going. Parsnip, this, and that. I forget the exact title of that game though. So I'll look into it. It might be a thing we do in a couple weeks though. Maybe not immediately. Let's see, how long have I been going? Not too long so far tonight. And like I said, I kind of wanted to move on to something else tonight. I just don't know what exactly to do. I mean, I'm not going to start something completely new. So I could start like, or not start, but I could go back into BioShock 2 is available, obviously. Shovel Knight stuff. Dicey Dungeons. And I think that's where our choices maybe are. Oh, and Danganronpa. I could do Danganronpa for a bit. Let's do that for a while. Yeah, I'm not feeling any of the other options. Okay, I'm gonna close this out. Be back in like 3 minutes or so. 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5. Who fucking knows? 3 or 4 minutes, maybe. I'll play a song in between, and we'll go ahead and switch over for a bit. This was interesting to see. I think the main storyline was good, and then like the little interstitial character things were interesting. Like seeing the Heidi thing all play out and everything was interesting. But I think that's more if you're just really like, I don't care to really right now on stream go through the other characters. I might do it off stream, but if you're just really finding yourself really into these this universe, if that makes sense. But yeah, I will be back. I'll be back. Give me like 3 or 4 minutes here. Or a song. What song? I gotta find a song. And then we'll go ahead and I'll load up into but Danganronpa. We'll do that for a bit. Kind of get our mind off other stuff. So